Welcome back. Ever since the Summer of Love in 2020, our police have been under severe scrutiny and the subject of race-baiting manufactured outrage in the name of social justice. Our police officers risk their lives every day going out into some of the most dangerous communities, most dangerous situations, and being given the task to prevent the worst things imaginable from happening. Oftentimes, they don't come home from work that day to see their spouses and children. The defund the police crowd wants you to believe that cops are not necessary in a functioning society and that social workers are more capable of handling high-intensity situations. This has obviously not worked out. Unfortunately, that hasn't stopped everywhere. Here's one display of unfair treatment of our law enforcement. On February 22, 2023, Sergeant Wesley Shiflett, a member of the Fairfax County Police Department's Specialized Retail Theft Unit, pursued a known shoplifting suspect, Timothy Johnson. Believing Johnson was reaching for a firearm, Sergeant Shiflett, fearing for his life, fired 2 rounds. Tragically, Johnson succumbed to his injuries. Only later was it determined that Johnson was unarmed. Rather than standing by their officer, Fairfax County Police Chief Kevin Davis held a press conference announcing Shiflett's termination. A grand jury initially declined to indict Sergeant Shiflett. However, Fairfax County Commonwealth Attorney Steve Descano, a Soros-backed prosecutor with a clear political agenda, sought a second bite at the apple. He petitioned the court to impanel a special grand jury, which ultimately returned an indictment for involuntary manslaughter and felony reckless handling of a firearm. Here to give more information on the situation, Melissa Robey, founder of We Back Blue, a national police advocacy group committed to champion professional public safety services for all communities. Melissa, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Brandon Strock.
What is We Back Blue?
We Back Blue, as you stated, is a national police advocacy organization. We are here to support all facets of law enforcement all over the country.
Why did you start it?
I have family in law enforcement and just feel really strongly that they were being treated unfairly. And when David Dorn was killed, it just affected me greatly. And so I just decided to stand up and do something about it.
David Dorn was, of course, one of the police officers who was killed during the 2020 Summer of Love when BLM was out rioting, burning, looting, destroying America. And where was David Dorn from?
He is St. Louis, Missouri, retired. He had 30 years in and was just left to lay there and die.
And there was a lot of silence during the 2020 Summer of Love, and so you are a person who decided to step up and do something about it and start this organization to provide support, resources, and it's really become a national organization where you're helping people over the country.
Yeah, absolutely. We did the first march in the entire country in 2020, and we did over 100 events across the country since then. So we've just been championing for law enforcement on a national level that way, but also doing events for them from a mental health perspective and just all facets of law enforcement help.
And there's been this climate and culture of disrespect towards police officers that's probably always existed, but certainly I think intensified, gotten much worse since 2020. And it's not just a matter of disrespect. We're actually seeing a lot of police officers who are being prosecuted or having their rights and their freedoms taken away under, I'd say, very political agendas. So let's talk about Sergeant Wesley Shiflett. What can you tell us about this situation?
Well, I think he was just unfairly prosecuted, and when my organization caught wind of what was happening, he actually has some things coming up this month. We just wanted to step in and kind of take action and say, this is not right. The officer did his job. It was proven in court that he did his job, and yet you're still prosecuting him, and it's just not okay.
Well, and of course, nobody's talking about this. So how did you even find out about the story?
Right, so his mother reached out to my organization, and we just had a phone conversation, and I'm a mom, and she's a mom, and we just had a really great conversation about it. And I said, I'm gonna help you in literally any way I can, because this is truly despicable.
How is she doing? I mean, what did she tell you?
She's okay. She just feels like unsupported, and it's just a really hard thing to go through and watch your child go through. And so I'm just, my heart goes out to her and all the other families that are involved. I mean, this is actually something that doesn't just go away. As someone who's gone through something traumatic, it doesn't just go away overnight, and especially for families. So.
And this is a state case, not a federal case.
This is a state case.
In Virginia.
Correct.
So what can be done at a state level in Virginia?
Well, you can write letters to the governor of Virginia and ask for a pardon.
That's Glenn Youngkin.
That is Mr. Glenn Youngkin, Governor Glenn Youngkin. And you can also kind of rally against these prosecutors like Steve Descano, who have repetitively done stuff like this to officers.
So Officer Shiflett would need a pardon, essentially, from a governor because it's a state case.
Correct.
Glenn Youngkin. Is that something that you're seeking?
I hope so. I hope so.
It's something you're advocating for, your organization is advocating for?
For sure.
Because at this point, that's probably just about his only option.
Yeah.
And, you know, these things are not just limited, of course, to one situation, one state. You know, at a federal level or across the country, these things are happening. What are you seeing?
2 officers were acquitted yesterday in Virginia for felony murder. Also a politically prosecuted situation. There's one in LA County in California, and that one is absolutely terrible. That one would take a pardon from President Trump to actually take care of. But, you know, we're going to still fight. We're going to do I'm going to use every avenue I can, every contact I can to help save these guys, because they have been, you know, part of political prosecution since 2020. I mean, these are the cases that you know about, right? I mean, Tyler Timberlake in Virginia was another one. There's just so many. And when I started kind of championing for this a few weeks ago, now the floodgates have opened. People have started contacting me and saying, well, this is going on. Well, my husband's going through this, or I just went through that. And I mean, I would love to help everybody. So, you know me.
You know, I think we're on the brink of major change in this country. It certainly seems the first month of Trump's administration seems to be indicating that there's going to be a lot of cleaning up of the, you know, the weaponization of departments of justice, these prosecutors. I have tangoed with my own Soros-funded prosecutors over the last 4 years. I mean, what are you seeing there in terms of these sort of politicized targetings of police officers?
I'm seeing the same thing that you went through. I mean, it's like, it's just on a different level. These men and women went through, you know, the system to become police officers. They took an oath. They always try to do the right thing for the most part of what I've seen across the country. I've never met an officer with nefarious, you know, plans. They're mostly amazing people like yourself, you know, that have just gone through really, really unfortunate situations. And so when I see Trump in office, I'm really excited, because I'm seeing people like Kash Patel, I'm seeing people like Kristi Noem, I'm seeing people like Tom Homan.
Tom Homan, yeah. That's right.
I'm very excited about him. He just appointed the Public Safety Secretary of Virginia to his DEA. So I'm really excited about this, because law and order is coming back and we really need it.
Well, I want to ask you about that because, you know, obviously we just live in very politically divided times, and the law enforcement issue is split right down the middle. People on the left tend to be very anti-police. People on the right seem to be very pro-police. And of course, Trump and his administration want to get in there and support law enforcement officers. Do you think that the divide is beginning to close as, you know, perhaps more people are starting to understand the fallacy of what the Democrats have been pushing, or this like anti-police movement?
For sure. Democrats don't like police until they need them. They're the first person they call. They're the first person that they need when they're in crisis. You know, don't forget, these are the men and women that come in and they see your worst day. And so to me, I feel like they have been kind of coerced, and the media has kind of done a horrible job of making them feel like they're unsafe around police officers. And we need to help bring that back.
Well, the work you're doing, I think, is amazing. How can people find out more about your organization and support you?
You can go on to www.webackblue.com or find me on X at Robey 2020.
Timely handle.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's 2025.
I'm working on it.
But you take your time. Coming up, will all of these Trump victories finally get through to lifelong Democrats? The viral Isaiah Carter shares his story next.